Hey guys, Todd here. Today we're going to be replacing the factory halogen headlight bulbs on our 2018 Ford F-150 project truck for the Build series. Now what we're going to be using is the Putco Nitro Lux LED system for both the high beams and the low beams. I'm going to show you a couple of different approaches. First we'll show you how to replace them by going up through the wheel well, then I'll show you how to replace them by pulling out the fixture. For this installation, I'll be using a fastener removal tool. I'll also have 3 sockets, a 5.5mm, an 8mm, and a 10mm, along with an electric impact driver. Well, make sure you're subscribed to our channel to keep up with this build and future builds. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with the wheel well method. Most people go this approach because it is a little bit easier. Also, most people start with this on the ground, the tire turned in, and go that approach. But to give you guys a better camera angle, we picked it up off the ground and we pulled off the tire. I've gone ahead and removed the 4 screws and the 2 plastic fasteners and got this wheel well liner pulled down. Now, let's take a look at where we need to install the bulbs. All right, so we're going to start with the low beam. That's actually the one's up on top. You got 2 different dust covers. This one right here, we're just going to go ahead and pull on that dust cover, and that'll pop off. Next, we can reach inside and turn that about a half turn counterclockwise, and then the bulb will pull straight out. Once the bulb is out, we can then squeeze the housing and pop the bulb out. We're just going to set this to the side and then replace the bulb. All right, now here is the Nitro Lux. The first thing you want to do is make sure that this connection is fastened. So we're just going to put it together, twist it, make sure it's nice and snug. And that's fastened together. Next, what we need to do is pull this braid apart. It's very important to make sure this braid is pulled apart and fanned out. If you do not do this, it's not going to dissipate heat correctly and will actually void your warranty. Next, we're going to line up the notches to the factory locations and twist it clockwise to lock it in place. All right, now if this is a little bit more difficult to see, you can also refer to the other part of our installation where we take out the fixture so you can get a different angle. All right, once that's in place, we're going to go ahead and fit our braid up inside the housing. And make sure that it stays fanned out as you do this. All right, now we're going to go ahead and fit everything inside our housing. All right, now we can go ahead and replace our dust cover and press that in place. All right, now our high beam is lower in the housing. We're going to go ahead and pull off that dust cover. We're going to rotate that. Pull it out just like we did on the top one. Disconnect it like the top one. And again, we're going to do the exact same prep. Make sure our connector is fastened and tightened down. And again, very important, make sure you flare out your heat sink. And just like before, we're going to go ahead and line up our tabs and install it. Once it's fully inserted into the housing, you can go ahead and turn it clockwise to get it locked in place. And also, just like before, go ahead and tuck your braid into the housing. We're going to connect our anti-flicker housing to the factory connector and tuck all of that into the lamp. All right, I'm putting the box up top and the factory harness down below and tucking everything in. And now I can replace my dust cover. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the tire back on here, drop it back down on the ground. Then I'm going to show you on the other side how to replace the bulb by removing the headlamp. That might actually give you some better angles to look at as well. All right, so I've already gone ahead and removed the negative battery terminal. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove the shroud. I've got a total of 14 push pins that need to come out. Let me show you how each one of those pull out. What I like to do is get the top of it loose. Once that's loose, I can go underneath and pop the pin out, set it to the side. All right, now I got these 4 bolts across the top. Those need to come out using a 10 millimeter. All right, now typically there's a couple of clips over here that you would remove. This truck does not have that, so we're gonna go ahead and move to our wire harness. Go ahead and disconnect that. Just unplug it and pull it out. And then also the fastener that holds the wire harness in place, remove that as well. All right, now this particular truck has a factory installed fender flare. This definitely makes it a little more tedious, but let me show you how to get past this. What you've got here is a bolt that's holding the fender flare in place here. You're going to remove that with a 7 millimeter. Now, because we have the factory fender flare, there's a couple of clips underneath this panel right here. And there's also a clip here. We're going to have to get this fender flare free of all 3 of those clips in order to get this piece loose. So go ahead and start wiggling that loose. And then you're going to pop it free from the clips. Okay, now that I've got the fender flare loose from these 3 clips, I'm going to need to go ahead and pull this loose from the fender panel. So I need to pull out towards me, and that will pop it loose. All right, once we've done that, what I like to do is flip that around and take a cloth, put it in between there just to protect your paint. We're going to repeat this whole process on the opposite side as well. All right, now that I got both sides free, I'm going to go ahead and work one side to the other and pull it all the way out. All right, now we've got a couple of bolts that are holding the grill in place, one on each side. This is going to pull out with an 8 millimeter. Do that on both sides. All right, now the only thing holding this grill in place is the clips. Let's go ahead and pull it straight out. All right, so next what we're going to do is remove this bolt right here using an 8 millimeter. Now this one's going to come out with a 10. All right, next we're going to go ahead and remove this push fastener. All right, these 2 bolts right here have to come out using a 10 millimeter. All right, now we're going to go ahead and pull the headlight housing out. Pull off this dust cover. Remove the bulb. Next, before you insert the light bulb, what we want to do is fan everything out. Now, in order to do that, you just want to pull the copper mesh apart like so. This is your heat sink. If you do not pull the copper mesh apart, you actually void your warranty. This has to be fanned out so it can properly have plenty of surface area to disperse the heat. Now we're going to go ahead and line up the 3 tabs to the opening, push it in place and give it a clockwise turn. All right, now we're going to go ahead and tuck our fanned out heat sinks down inside our housing. Next, we're going to go ahead and connect our anti-flicker housing and connector to our factory connector the light bulb came out of. Once that's in place, what we're going to do is fit this all down inside the housing. Next, we're going to replace our dust cover. Always replace your dust cover. This keeps dust and moisture out of your headlight assembly. All right, now we can go ahead and reinstall the headlamp the same way it came off and repeat the same process on the opposite side. Well, that concludes the installation. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel, and if you want to be notified when we release new content, ring that bell. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments below or visit us online.